A German rocket fighter claws almost straight into the sky, its pilot crushed into his seat as fire explodes behind him. Above, an endless horizon of bombers rolls toward Germany's heartland. In seconds, cannons will thunder, fuel will vanish, and death will close from every side. Today, the fastest aircraft ever to fight will learn a terrifying truth about war in the skies that will change everything forever in human memory of this day alone. It is a cold morning in early November, 1944, over the forests and fields of Saxony. High above Germany, the distant hum of engines grows into a thunderous roar as wave after wave of Allied bombers push eastward toward their targets. Thousands of aircraft stretch across the sky, darkening the horizon like an approaching storm. On the ground, sirens scream. Mechanics run. Pilots sprint toward their aircraft. Among them is a young German interceptor pilot, helmet tucked under his arm, heart pounding in his chest. He knows fuel plants lie directly in the bomber's path. He knows his unit has been called because no one else can reach them in time. Around him, fellow pilots climb into tiny radical machines, each one armed, fueled, and frighteningly fragile. There is no time for hesitation. This is an emergency scramble, and every second lost means destruction on the ground below. The aircraft waiting on the runway looks more like a missile than a fighter. Short wings, no propeller, no roar of pistons. Beneath its skin sits a rocket engine fed by two volatile chemicals that can explode on contact. The Mi-163 is faster than anything in the sky, but it carries only minutes of fuel and offers its pilot almost no margin for error. The canopy slams shut. The throttle is pushed forward. Instantly, the world becomes vibration and thunder. The tiny aircraft surges ahead, accelerating faster than any machine the pilot has ever flown. The end of the runway flashes past. He pulls back on the stick. The ground falls away. The nose rises sharply. Within seconds, the fighter is climbing almost vertically, punching toward the clouds like a bullet fired straight into the heavens. The force presses him deep into his seat, turning his body into dead weight. His vision narrows as the rocket drives the aircraft upward at an impossible angle. The ground disappears, swallowed by layers of cloud that rush past in a gray blur. Then just as suddenly, the fighter bursts through the top of the overcast. Blinding sunlight floods the cockpit. Above him stretches a vast empty blue sky. Below, the cloud deck rolls like a white ocean. He eases the throttle back, cutting the engine to a low setting. The violent shaking fades to a steady hum. The climb slows. For a brief moment, everything feels strangely peaceful. No gunfire, no explosions. Just open sky and the quiet awareness that the calm will not last. The calm shatters the moment he looks ahead. The horizon is no longer empty. Dark shapes stretch across the sky in long, organized lines, growing larger with every passing second. It is an armada. Hundreds of heavy bombers fly wingtip to wingtip, their silver bodies glinting in the sun. Around them, smaller fighters weave back and forth, guarding the formation like wolves circling a herd. The sheer scale is overwhelming. It feels less like facing aircraft, and more like staring into a moving city suspended in the air. His radio crackles as orders come through. The Komets are to scatter and attack individually. There will be no neat formations, no second chances. Each pilot chooses a target, and then they plunge alone into the storm of guns and steel. He pushes the nose down, and the bomber formation rushes toward him at horrifying speed. The distance collapses in seconds. The massive shapes swell until individual rivets and windows become visible. It feels as if the bombers are frozen in place while he is the only thing moving. He steadies his aim. The gun sight flashes over an engine nacelle. He squeezes the trigger. The cannons erupt, hammering the aircraft with brutal recoil. Bright shells streak forward and slam into a bomber's wing, tearing metal and spraying debris into the slipstream. Smoke blossoms, but the giant machine keeps flying. He has only a heartbeat to watch before he flashes past, diving beneath the formation and pulling away before dozens of defensive guns can track him. Anger burns hotter than fear. Damaged is not destroyed. As he climbs away, he looks back and sees bomb bay doors yawning open across the formation. Dark shapes tumble free. Thousands of bombs begin their long fall toward the fuel plants below. He imagines the fires, the explosions, the men on the ground with nowhere to hide. His fuel gauge is already dropping, but he still has minutes left, minutes that must count. He turns back toward the bombers. This time he approaches from below. He throttles back, letting the aircraft drift beneath the formation, hiding in their blind spot. Above him, bomber bellies slide past like slow-moving mountains. He picks one and edges into position. Then he slams the throttle forward. The rocket engine explodes to life, kicking him hard into the seat. The Komet surges upward, faster than anything else in the sky. He pulls up sharply, aiming straight at the bomber's underside. A glass sphere beneath the bomber rotates. The ball turret gunner has seen him. Twin machine guns swing toward the climbing rocket fighter. Both men fire almost simultaneously. One of the Komet's cannons coughs once and dies, jammed. The remaining gun keeps hammering, shells punching into the bomber's belly. Tracers whip past the cockpit.
A violent impact shatters the canopy. Pain explodes across the pilot's face. Warm blood runs into his eye. Another round punches through armor behind his seat and into the fuel tank. Terror floods in. He knows what sits behind him. Chemicals that ignite on contact. Liquids that burn through flesh. A single spark could turn the cockpit into an inferno. Training forces his hands to move even as his mind screams. He breaks away and dives, trying to put distance between himself and the bombers. Tracers streak past his wings as he plunges toward the clouds. He reaches for the canopy release. It doesn't move. He shoves harder. Nothing. Wind pressure pins it shut. He tries again, muscles straining, but the canopy refuses to budge. High above, an American fighter pilot has been watching the engagement. He spots the damaged rocket plane diving away, trailing faint smoke. He turns his P-51 toward it and advances the throttle. The Mustang slides into position behind the wounded Komet. The American squeezes the trigger. Streams of .50 caliber rounds rip past the rocket fighter. The German pilot shoves his throttle forward, desperate to escape. There is no response. The engine is dead, fuel exhausted. The Komet becomes a glider, fast but defenseless. The Mustang closes in again. Gunfire tears into the tiny aircraft. Panels rip away. Control surfaces shudder. Flames flicker along the fuselage. The Komet is being skinned alive. He rolls the aircraft upside down and pushes into a steep dive. Airspeed climbs rapidly. Wind howls around the cockpit. The flames waver, then sputter. For a moment, impossibly, the fire goes out. He levels slightly, daring to hope. Then the fire comes back. A sheet of flame races along the underside. Heat seeps into the cockpit. The seat grows hot beneath him. He knows he cannot stay. He must get out. Elsewhere in the sky, another Komet streaks upward beneath the bomber stream. The pilot lines up carefully and fires a short burst into a bomber's upper fuselage. Metal shreds. The rocket fighter blasts past and begins to pull away. He throttles back, conserving fuel, already thinking about another attack run. He never sees the Mustang sliding in behind him. The American pilot opens fire. Tracers flash past the Komet's cockpit. The German pilot jerks the stick and dives for speed. The Mustang follows, staying glued to his tail. The Komet is faster in a straight line, but only if its engine holds. A burst of gunfire slams into the rear of the aircraft. The engine coughs violently. The German pilot slams the throttle forward. Instead of acceleration, there is a deafening bang. The engine seizes. Silence replaces thunder. The Mustang swings in again. The American steadies his aim and fires a long burst. Bullets tear through the Komet from tail to nose. Flames erupt. The small aircraft rolls, breaks apart, and plunges earthward in a twisting ball of fire. Back in the first Komet, the surviving pilot fights the controls, while flames creep closer. He forces the nose up, bleeding off speed. The wind weakens. He shoves the canopy again. This time, it moves. The canopy lifts. Cold air blasts into the cockpit. Without hesitation, he releases his harness and throws himself into the rushing sky. The parachute snaps open. He tumbles, then steadies, hanging beneath the canopy as the battle roars far above. Below him, a burning streak plunges toward the ground. It is his friend's aircraft. He searches desperately for a white blossom of silk. None appears. The wreckage smashes into the earth in a distant flash. The pilot drifts downward in silence, the sounds of combat fading into the distance. He will survive the war. So will the American pilots who hunted the Komets that day. But the bombers will continue on, their formations unbroken. Even the fastest aircraft ever built could not stop them.